couple days in the sun, I'm feeling oh so clean. A couple nights on the run, now it's about time I wash my jeans. And the wood grain like rum, it's got a blonde and dark brown scheme. And your eyes are smiling with a love like I've never seen. The springtime's arriving, I see the bees all buzzing round. The storm clouds still deciding which type of water they'll be dropping down. And from where I'm standing, I see beauty all around. And your eyes are smiling, as green as its grassy ground. Someday, when the rivers don't run no more, there's got to be some way we can remember what came before. And for all of the nights and all of the days I spent all by myself, there's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. There's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. Mosquitoes biting, a meditation in another form. And this good feel I'm riding could be a sign of my new norm. And well, somewhere, someplace, something new now is being born. And your eyes, your smile, your lips, they have the power to transform me. Someday, when the rivers don't run no more, there's got to be some way we can remember what came before. And for all of the nights and all of the days I spent all by myself, there's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. There's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. Someday, when the rivers don't run no more, there's got to be some way we can remember what came before. And for all of the nights and all of the days I spent all by myself, there's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. Someday, when the rivers don't run no more, there's got to be some way we can remember what came before. And for a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. There's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else. There's a little more joy in this old boy when they're shared with someone else.
Nice. I love that song.
Thank you.
That's like, I think that's my favorite one from your new album.
Thank you.
Welcome to my studio apartment.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being kind of the first one to try it out. Hopefully not the last.
Totally. Well, when you were doing something, I was like, okay, whatever you're doing, I want to jump on because I love your work. And it was fun working together, doing the Simple and Plain video at the farm. And then obviously all the other stuff you've been doing. So I was like, man, your documentary filmmaking plus music, I'm in, man.
Thank you. What have you been up to?
Well, been a busy 6 months. Just general life-wise, Emily and I were traveling in South America for 2 months last summer. We left Dharma Farm where we were living. I was living there for 3 years. We lived there together for a year and then put our stuff in storage, went to South America for 2 months. And then since then, I've kind of been doing like a housing shuffle, combination of house sitting and staying with friends and just kind of getting our feet back in life and work and music. Music-wise, I just released...
Watch out for that squeak.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's okay. My bad.
Music-wise, I just released my first live album recorded at Broadway Music Studios in Boulder and recorded that with Emily and then Stu Garney on upright bass in September of last fall. And so, yeah, that's kind of the main thing musically that I've been up to. I also started playing some so far shows. Played 2 so far and have really enjoyed those experiences.
And for those of you who don't know, Emily is your girlfriend and also performs on your last album.
Yep.
And the venue you just mentioned, I'm not familiar with that. What is it?
Oh, So Far Sounds. Yeah, they're an organization that started in the UK, I believe in London. And the MC at the beginning of the night tells their story, so hopefully I don't misrepresent it. But essentially, I think the founder went to go see his favorite band, and all these people were talking and spilling drinks on him, and he was like, this kind of sucks. So he invited the band back to his flat with a group of friends, and they had a live concert in his place, and that was the birth of So Far Sounds, which essentially is an international organization that hosts house shows, but it could be in a co-working space, in a hair salon, in someone's retail store, and you buy tickets and you don't know who you're going to see, and you don't know the exact location. So you sign up in Denver, and then they'll reveal the location 36 hours before. Made the cut recently, and so I played my first show last fall.
Where was the venues?
The first was a hair salon, and then the second was a co-working space. But what they do, they have a team of people that comes in and transforms it into, they put all these twinkle lights and carpets and plants, and then there's like 30 guests all sitting on the floor with cushion. I mean, there's 30 for when I played. I think their shows go up to like 200 people.
I want to do that. I kind of want to do maybe shows in different locations. This apartment could be one, but that sounds fun. Like filming it at like a hair salon or something random like that.
Totally. I think it's a unique niche as far as it shows you can transform any space with the right props and the right intention and energy and people and music into a space where there's a real, relationship made. Those are even though I've only played 2, those are shows where I feel like I've really connected with the people that came to listen and, hopefully built lasting relationships beyond just playing one time and then, never having an interaction with that listener again.
The idea is cool that the space can kind of influence the performer. There's this energy or connection that can be created based on the people or the space and it can like go back and forth both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So like going into a new space, I don't know, it could just put the performer in a fresh headspace or a new experiential headspace. But that sounds like it could, that, as a performer, that would be cool to, hopefully cool and not stressful to perform in like a new location.
Yeah, I like it. It's exciting.
Does it have an effect on you as a performer or as a listener that does the energy in the room feel different when everybody is really owned in and not talking and kind of collectively in on the experience?
Yeah, definitely. As a performer, there seems to be an easier ability to connect with the audience and the listeners. And I also feel more, when someone's listening, it's easier naturally to want to share more also. So I find myself sharing more about the backstory of a song or talking to the audience in between, during my set, in between songs, which if I'm in a place where I can tell that the energies and the listening is sort of few and far between, then, I'm kind of more focused just on playing the music. And again, there's probably pros and cons for both, but my preference is definitely playing to a room of people that are listening and having a relationship built. And as a listener, I appreciate that too. I feel like, because, I'm listening to the music, but also there's a relationship with the person that's playing that I feel is formed when there is that listening space environment.
Yeah, I agree. I think the connection's really cool and powerful to, I don't know, I feel like there's a energy that can be created that's its own thing or can elevate the experience.
Yeah, I agree.
What would you like to perform for the next song?
I'd like to do On a Bench in Madrid City. And speaking of stories, so when I went to CU Boulder, and when I was a junior, I had the chance to study abroad in Madrid, Spain. And on our spring break, it was the spring semester that I went. And me and a couple of buddies went over to Ireland. We're all of Irish descent, even though it was many generations back, and spent 10 days there and had a really powerful experience and fun time and just lots of beautiful land, strong wind, like all these different memorable experiences. And we came back to Madrid kind of missing our time over in Ireland. So we got together on this bench in Madrid one night and got a bottle of whiskey and were reminiscing on times in Ireland. And then I later wrote this song. So I started writing this in 2016, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's been a while back. Yeah. You think I could use that pick right there? If it's inaccessible, that's...
Where is it?
I see it right.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
This one is not that great. These are cool. These are the band commemorative picks.
Oh, really? This'll work. This is great.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like the band?
I do like the band. Oh, no way. That's cool, man. I know, that guy Lord Huron looks like he was like part of the band. He looks like one of the guys on these picks.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, look at the guy from the second from the left.
Levon? Yeah, Levon Helm.
Yeah. He's cool, man. I like his solo stuff too. On a bench in Madrid City, I had two friends sitting with me, making references to whiskey that we drank with Uncle Joe. Well, don't it seem like long ago we felt the strongest winds that blow along the cliffs of Irish coastline where my family takes their name. And it's a slow progression for this moving mind, and sometimes I find I've got to take it easy. Oh, in small town Oklahoma, east of Tucson, Arizona, tried so hard to find a home inside the pockets of my jeans. My windblown frame is lean and wiry. I need a friend to stand beside me. Could be an oak ash or a pine tree to give me shelter in the rain. And it's a slow progression for this moving mind, and sometimes I find I've got to take it easy.
tongue, it finds a hope curled in the ink I wrote. So the words I never spoke can lose their shadow to the day. I oil up and grease my memories, send my voice out through the smoke rings, and I'm hoping that it reaches up to the world that's unseen. And it's a slow progression for this moving mind, and sometimes I find I've got to take it easy. Oh, it's a slow progression for this moving mind, and sometimes I find I've got to take it easy. On a bench in Madrid City, I had two friends sitting with me, making references to whiskey that we drank with Uncle Joe. But don't it seem like long ago we felt the strongest winds that blow along the cliffs of Irish coastline, where our families take their names, where our families take their names, where our families take their names.
Sweet.
Pick worked.
Oh, nice. Glad to hear it. I wanted to ask you if you're comfortable talking about it. It sounded like there might be something new in your life away from music that you've started up. Is it a small business or something with mentoring? Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, that's been another thing. So I started a business called Standing on the Earth, and it's a business that serves teenage boys in a mentorship and rite of passage capacity. So I work with teenage boys from as young as 11, 12 to up to 22. And we meet weekly with mentorship sessions. And then we also do a separate component, which is an annual rite of passage, nature-based. They spend a night in the woods by themselves with people supporting them. And that's kind of been another world besides music that I've been involved in pretty much all of my 20s, and that's now finding an outward expression in my work, which has been an exciting new frontier as well.
What is a rite of passage? What does that mean?
A rite of passage, well, it marks an important event in someone's life. So there's marriage, birth, death, puberty. Those are kind of big examples of rites of passages. But it could fall, a lot of things could fall under that category. And what I'm focusing on is that rite of passage and transition from boyhood to manhood, or boyhood to adulthood, where, things are activating physiologically and there's an energy moving in the young people, and having guidance and mentorship and some direction and a place to put that energy in a positive way, is often it's needed. And that's been a part of many cultures across history. And in the modern world, there's not as many spaces where there's a formal rite of passage. Some modern examples that are still going, like bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, confirmation, humblecha, and the Lakota tradition. There's of course, cultures still have them, but I think in American culture at large, there's not as many for young men. And I think, I know I needed it when I was younger. And so being able to provide that sort of space and to connect to the natural world, to connect to a sense of purpose and relationship with self that's positive. Those are some of the components that I'm trying to bring in.
Awesome. Do you need people to get involved, or would you like them to go to a website or social media to learn more or anything?
Yeah, my website's www.standingontheearth.com. And yeah, if there's families out there with teenage sons, and they're looking for a little bit extra support, whether they're actively struggling or just looking for a little bit of guidance outside just the nuclear family, that's a great referral. And I'm just in the phase where I'm kind of trying to let people know what I'm up to, and let people know that it's a service out there. So
that's really cool. What are you thinking for the next song here?
Those
last two were off the your last album, your self-titled album, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that came out April of 2023. And the next song I'm going to play is one of the newer songs that I wrote, which is on the live album. So on the live album, it's a re-release of pre-recorded songs. Like I had already recorded the songs, but I'm playing them live. So it's a different arrangement or as far as the instrumentation. But then on that album, there's also 2 songs that have never been released. And one of those is called Moonlight on a Pearl. And that's what I was thinking of playing next year.
Awesome.
Let's go for a midnight stroll out where the night waves roll. Let's go for a nice long walk. Listen to the night waves rock. It could be just you and me. The moon and stars above. We could do about just anything we want. We could fall in love. Let's go for a midnight ride out by the waning tide. Sometimes it feels like such a harsh and lonesome world, but with you it's like moonlight on a pearl. It could be just you and me. The moon and stars above. We could do about just anything we want. We could fall in love. Let's go for a midnight ride out by the waning tide. Sometimes it feels like such a harsh and lonesome world, but with you it's like moonlight on a pearl. Sometimes it feels like such a harsh and lonesome world, but tonight it feels like moonlight on a pearl. Moonlight on a Pearl, I wrote this the day after I recorded my most recent studio album. So Jackson Maloney, self-titled. We were in the studio December 9th and 10th or something of 2022. And we did 2 days in the studio, got everything recorded, except vocals. And then I was sitting on my couch, that was a Friday, Saturday. And then that Sunday I was sitting on my couch with all this music, it felt like it was out of me at that point. We had recorded it. It was, it was on its way towards being released. And I had been wanting to venture into more jazz influenced music, and this came out that following day. So I feel like I'm hoping it's indicative of the direction that part of my music will go, which is just incorporating some of those jazzier colors and feelings.
Are you finding your career is progressing musically in different directions from where you started to where you're going now?
Yeah, I think so.
I heard a quote from your most recent album that said something like, my first album was kind of like Townes Van Zandt, and my second one was kind of like Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
and then like your most recent was like more like you or something. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I did say that, and I think that's true. I still stand by that. I think the first album was, attempting to emulate some, an artist that I really was inspired by, which was Townes Van Zandt and his poetry. I had published a poetry book before I ever recorded music. So I was, and studied writing in college and just always been a writer. And, and then the next album, I feel like, Bob Dylan's always been a big influence. And this third one, of course, it's still influenced by a ton of people, but I feel like I was able to blend those into, it's an amalgamation of influences, but also I think there's some originality to it as far as, my own voice in there.
so? Where are you going now, or do you not know? Is it unknown?
It's kind of unknown, to be honest. Yeah, I've been asking that question and haven't got a ton of answers yet, but I think probably just, with the big changes in life in the last 6 to 9 months, it's not surprising to me that there's a little bit of a uncertainty. And I think at this point in the big picture, I really trust the creative process. And I know that I'm always going to be playing music and making music, and that sometimes there's a lull and other times it floods in. And to not, there's things I can do to sort of, invite in a more creative energy. And at the same time, I think part of it's being patient and waiting for, that inspiration to strike and then acting on it. And, it's kind of that dance, I think, between waiting and taking action. And so we'll see. I'm curious myself where things are going to go from here.
Yeah, I feel like you can't force creativity. You kind of have to be open to it, and it can be also exciting to kind of be ready to see where it takes you.
Yeah, and I feel that the lull periods are also great periods where, like, of input, things can, inspiration is coming in from all directions in daily life through art. And, I think it's kind of cool to look back and be like, oh, wow, yeah, I was just living my life. And then that made its way into this new expression of my craft. But it's hard to know that, looking forward, as far as how is the way that I'm living or the things that are influencing my day to day going to show up or influence like what I create. But I think that knowing that that's happened before, I imagine that's going to continue to happen. And I'm kind of curious and excited to see what that will look like.
For sure. Maybe we'll do one more. What do you have in mind?
I was thinking I would play Simple and Plain, which is a
sick.
song off my second album.
Cool.
Little love in my lane, a little light on the window pane. It's all just a one big game, simple and plain. Little shine on my shoes, little green balance out my blues. I win and sometimes I lose, and who gets to choose? And only when I want to will I walk through darkness, darkness, loneliness, gonna haunt you if you don't harness the truth of all reality is. Little rain on my seed, little laughter is what I need. We live, we love, we lead. It's been decreed. And only when I want to will I walk through darkness, darkness, loneliness, gonna haunt you if you don't harness the truth of all reality. Is only when I want to will I walk through darkness, darkness, loneliness, gonna haunt you if you don't harness the truth of all reality is. Little love in my lane, little light on my window pane. It's all just a one big game, simple and plain. It's all just a one big game, simple and plain.
All right. Jackson Maloney.
Sweet.
How was it
Great.
in my apartment?
It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Is it for other performers, does it feel safe and not smell too bad?
Yes. It's a good spot. It's nice and cozy in here. Got the plants, lots to look at.
Thanks for helping out on this trial as I move the cameras around and change up the microphones and hopefully grease that squeaky stool for next time.
Gives it character, you know?
There you go. Yeah, that's sometimes we say that about like the lenses we put on cameras if they're all banged up. We don't want it super clear. Gives it character, just like Willie's old guitar or something. Like
Yeah,
banged
exactly.
up, a used piece of an instrument for art gives it character.
Mm-hmm. Like your drum pedal.
Yeah. Well, that's not so usable anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm departing with guests, since you are the first guest, what should I ask them or as like a final question?
Maybe like what's coming up.
I was thinking about doing something weird or deep,
Oh,
like something like seeing if they had any paranormal beliefs, or just seeing like what they thought about the meaning of life, or like what would be a good question, you think?
I think both those are great.
What comes to mind?
Well, I mean, I think life is about living and self-express. I mean, I think music related, like self-expression is very important. And I think we all have a desire to be authentically self-expressed in some way or another, whether we're an artist in the sense of having some sort of artistic craft or not. So whatever way a person can find their authentic self-expression, I think people should follow that because it leads to a life of meaning.
I couldn't agree more. I like totally relate to that. I've been thinking about that the last year or two, how important self-expression is and how fortunate I am to be able to have it with what I do for a living with filmmaking and creating, and knowing that not everybody has that outlet or that ability or that time. But I think I've come to realize more and more like how important it is to express yourself. So like what's the weirdest thing you believe in, or that you're a little bit hesitant to share with others? Whether it has to do with like, I don't know, ghost consciousness, anything that's a little bit not usually dinner table talk.
I mean, I've experienced things. Yeah, I mean, well, one thing I'm thinking about, there's this one of my favorite poets, John Trudell. He talks about right in the middle of believe, there's a lie. And in the word believe, yeah. And I like that because he says, you either know something or you think something. But if you believe something, then you've created a stuck place that where it could be thinking. Essentially, when you believe something, there you stop questioning it, and you either know it or you are thinking about it or you think you know something. And I kind of like that. So, it's something that just he said, but it's always stuck with me. And so, I mean, I've experienced things that have led to me turning to something greater than myself in times of joy and times of struggle. And at the end of the day, I don't know shit. I feel small in the face of what is uncertain in life and in the world and in the universe. And what I feel I know is being alive is a precious gift. And there's so many mysteries about being alive and being a human being, and being able to relate and even suffer and lose and different things. And so, I think there's a lot more to learn too. So I'm curious about other things, but I don't necessarily spend a lot of time thinking like if there's like about all the other plans or things. I feel like I spend more time trying to be here and experience the reality that's in front of me. And if another reality presents itself, then I'll take the ride,
Well said. I feel like we're a little bit on the similar wavelength. I like how you said lie and belief. I feel like we come to conclusions at the end of the day as a necessity to live our lives and to just move forward. But keeping an open mind really means not forming beliefs in a 100% conclusive way. Otherwise, you're not open to, I don't know, changing your opinion or learning more information. Or it's almost like once it's settled, if you leave it unsettled, then you're open to learning more, maybe. Does that sound
Yeah,
right?
I think so. There's I remember hearing someone say the Milky Way galaxy is really small compared to the size of the universe. And within the Milky Way galaxy, there's our solar system, which is really small and compared to the Milky Way. And inside that, there's the Earth, and that's really small compared to the solar system. And inside the Earth, there's these different countries that are small compared to the Earth. And inside that, there's us, and we think we're so big. And he's like, that's a problem, We're so small in the face of all these things. All that to say, I think there is a sort of openness that is actually freeing when we admit to uncertainty, because you know, of course, there's a security of locking into a belief or certain things, or there's genuine experience, direct experience and knowing. But I think most of life is a lot of uncertainty. And I think beyond the scary part of that, it can be sort of freeing and very creatively inspiring, you know, as I'm sure you've experienced, when we don't kind of build in that we have figured it out.
Yeah, I kind of find the creative experience more pure when you don't necessarily have an end goal or a reason or a destination, but you are open to the journey. Like, you don't know what the end goal is going to be, and you're going to let the creative process determine and reveal itself to what you create.
Yeah. We'll see what comes next.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming, and maybe I'll see you down the line, hopefully.
That sounds great. Thank you for having me, Chad.
Thank you.